Today, we are going to talk about music. If you're not interested in that, of how deep I could go with that, you don't even need to watch this. But um, I feel like I'm just going in podcast form with all of my content at this point because I could like sit here and talk forever, but that's beyond the point of the conversation. I The only thing truly keeping me alive right now is that there's been so much good music that has come out the past month. I'll probably say since the beginning of March. And if you didn't know, most people that I have seen and or follow or anything in the music world across the board, they listen to complete albums. There was this resurgence a little bit to where everyone was listening to singles and EPs and like their attention spans were small and they only wanted to listen to this, but like even Gen Z and even like smaller like younger people, they're like, I want to slow down. I want to take the time and appreciate art. And they're like wanting to appreciate those things. So, with all of that being said, is that now people are listening to entire albums, including, I mean, it kind of started with Taylor, but that's beyond the point of the conversation. We don't even need to talk about that. But even with like Sabrina Carpenter's album that came out last October or so, Um, that album, the entire album I will listen to on repeat, like literally go through, and it's 12 tracks. I think it takes an hour to listen to. And like I will just go through and it's like an entire Broadway musical a little bit in the head, if you think about it that way. And artists are now completely doing that, at least women artists that I've listened to. It's very rare that I will listen to a male artist, but that's just because I can relate more to them. Um, but I'm seeing that this is something that I've always done, just me as a music lover, that like listening to albums within their entirety and then listening to them over and over and over again in their entirety is becoming a new thing that a lot of people like to do. Most people like to do singular tracks and only like singular tracks, but it's now become a thing where like people are listening to whole albums. With that being said, I have two very important albums. It may be the title of this, I don't know, that have come out over the past 2-3 weeks at the end of March, now beginning of April, to where the first album that came out, which we will talk about, is The Music May Contain Hope by Raye. And if you've never heard of Raye, she came on my radar actually by um, my workout dance class that I do, which is Fitness Marshall. Love them, love everything they do. And they have a dance by Escapism, which is probably got me back into listening to rap music, even though she sort of raps in that. But she like does rap and she does R&B and she does jazz. And you can tell she just loves music so much that I can like appreciate that. And this album is the first album where I really listened to it entirety and loved it, to where like some of her other stuff I'm like, it's kind of a hit or miss in between. But she really coordinated this album, and the way that she did this album was so genius, to where it's like on a musical level. Um, like she has it in four different acts. She has so much history, and like she's sharing so much about this album that it was very, very well done. A couple of my favorite songs on the album, just personally, like she and like also both of these albums that I'm gonna bring up today, they even have like aspects of like relationship with their faith and relationship with God and things like that in them. And I'm just like, whoa, like this is crazy, but we won't even talk about that really today. But Raye is also just so like she's got riffs, she's got jazz, she's got everything you could possibly think of. The only thing she just doesn't sound country, which we'll get there. But she mainly like in this album, she really talks about like men ish, give or take, where like she even says in an interview that like I don't even think it was an interview. I think it was like a live stream she did, but she literally said she's like, this album is dramatic on purpose. And I was like, T. Um, but Beware the South London Lover Boy. The first time I heard that song, I was like, is she talking about men who like attack women. Is she? I don't know. Question mark. Um, I Will Overcome also, that song like blew my mind because she even brought up Amy Winehouse in the song that she gets compared to from Amy Winehouse, and I just like killed me inside. Um, the WhatsApp Shakespeare is back to her like rapping days a little bit, which I highly enjoyed. Winter Woman, I feel like I can relate because the whole line where she goes, life goes on, life goes on. She gets her money in the taxi home. She hunts alone, hurts alone. With a castle on a hill, no one comes and no one goes. Like literally icon. Like, oh my goodness. And then we've all heard Click Clack Symphony. I don't even need to speak on that. The best line for me, that like that whole song, I feel like really encapsulates the whole album as a whole ish, give or take. I Will Overcome sort of this too. But Click Clack Symphony is like it's right in the middle. It's the height of it all. But even at the end, she states like something along I'm gonna paraphrase because I can't remember the exact line but it's the very last line of the song. But she literally states, she goes like, the cold never lasts, my darling. It only teaches the heart how to burn. And then it's like a big orchestrated moment at the end. And that song is also like featured with Hans Zimmer in it, and it's so stunning, like from beginning to end, and the lyrics as well of just like your girls are coming to bring you out for a night to bring you some hope. And again, the album's literally called This Music May Contain Hope, and it's like at the very like I'll go to the end real quick, but like Happier Times Ahead, that song at the very end, she literally states, if you didn't find hope in this album, listen to it again. And I'm like, I'm literally getting goosebumps thinking about it. um, I Know You're Hurting also is like, whoa, because at first I heard that song and I was like, oh, she's talking to an ex, like everyone's hurting, everyone's hurting. And then I forgot, I was like, oh, she's singing to us. And I'm like, oh. Um, Lifeboat, every time I hear Lifeboat, I think about the meme and or that section of the Barbie movie where Barbie has like her pink jumpsuit on and she's like got her hair down and she's in the government building and she's like clapping and she's like, yes, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Like you kind of know what meme I'm talking about. Whenever I hear Lifeboat, that's exactly what I envision in my brain. Um, I Hate the Way I Look Today is probably not my most favorite because it's kind of jokeful, but it's fine. I feel like it's like a quick one. And honestly, Goodbye Henry and Nightingale Lane are just personally not my favorite, but obviously they're really good. They're just very soulful and very calm to me and very like slow. And I really like upbeat songs. Um, but anyway, those are really like the three just to where like I just skip those three, but like honestly, don't skip those three. Still listen to them if you haven't given them a good listen. Skin and Bones gets me every time. That one, it's so upbeat, so cute of a sound, but then the lyrics is like, oh, like it literally all men want are just skin and bones. And I'm like, Raye, you killing me, girl. And then we've all heard Where's My Husband? I don't even need to talk about that. Fields with her granddad, which by the way is adorable. Just couldn't personally relate to it. Joy is probably one of my most favorite songs on the album, truthfully. Um, that song, and also for the fact that she sang it with her sisters, and like when she sings it with her and her sisters at the end, it's like you can tell they're like screaming it, all three of them standing on stage, of like it's in your mind, this like spiritual warfare that goes on. You will find joy even if you cry through the night, there will be joy in the morning. And I was just like, girl. And then something I've never seen before, which I get it, she's an independent artist, so it makes sense why she does this, but then I found out that she has done this with other albums, that the very last song on this album is Finn, for obviously it's finished, or French, however you want to put it. And she credits verbally into a song every single person that has helped her with this album. Insane. Literally insane. And with both of these two albums that I'm going to bring up, they have an intro and an outro, which I love with albums. And the songs don't particularly like feed into each other where they're like meant to listen to one after another, but you should in the same aspect. So, and this album as a whole was just stunning. This album is 17 songs. It takes an hour and 13 minutes to listen to. She has clearly like it's the most dramatic thing she's ever written. Like she has so much theming and everything behind it. It's truly another world for her, which I highly respect and understand and truly fell in love with. And I feel like that album for me gave me hope. And honestly, I will turn that album on when I want to be in a better headspace. Um, so highly would recommend that album. Was stunning beyond belief. And then the second album I'm gonna bring up, which is a whole massive change, um, Dandelion by Ella Langley. I actually was not originally the biggest fan of Ella Langley. I know, hate me. It's the first song I ever heard from her was You Look Like You Love Me. And I feel like at that time when that song came out, obviously she's a different person now than she was then, obviously, which makes total sense. But like it was so overplayed. They kept like it just it was such a tongue-in-cheek first song to where I feel like if your first song is a tongue-in-cheek kind of a song of a sound, it makes me not want to like it. But then after a while, Choosing Texas eventually became really big and I really started to like her. And then I started to look back in her discography a little bit and like, oh, she's been in the game for a hot second. Like, okay, cool, cool, cool. And then I found out she was releasing this album and I was like, girl, are you going to change my brain? Because like I am a big country music fan, grew up on country music. I won't even get into that today. We could talk about music another time if you interested. Comment down below if you interested about talking about music, country music or any music. But knowing also as well that like the artists of today, country music artists specifically, I'm thinking about Zach Top, I'm thinking about Riley Green, I'm talking about Ella Langley, like I'm even talking about Lainey Wilson, I'm talking about all of them, like all of these newer artists. And they grew up on country music and they don't want to change the sound of country music. They know the history, they know where it comes from, they know what it's supposed to sound like. They even take things from other people and make it their own. And I love it. I love every second of it because I even listened to Zach Top's album as a whole, which that came out like August or October or something. And that album alone, just like nostalgia to the bone. Ugh. If you haven't listened to that album, I will not be talking about that album today, but it's very good. Um, but Ella Langley's album, I saw the track list obviously before I listened to the sounds. And the most interesting thing is she's an intro and an outro, and both her intro and outro are named the same, but it's Froggy Went a Courtin'. And I was like, are you really gonna sing the whole Froggy Went a Courtin' song on your album, girl? She's like, "You'll see." Because she starts with Froggy What a Gordon when he went wide and and she's so cute. And you could tell the also like her production with it. I don't know. I usually don't read of who they read with production wise because I want to hear from the artist's perspective, of course. But you could tell that when she sang specifically both Froggy Wintercorns, the intro and the outro, that she has a different like microphone tunage to where the way that she's breathing it in is like very acoustically on stage somewhere, probably in a bar. And like, that's like, this is meant to be lived in that aspect. So I really appreciated that. And I actually originally thought it was going to have to do something with Froggy 1077. Not at all. Not at all. Anyway, um, and a couple songs that obviously I've heard beforehand, which was Dandelion, Choosing Texas, and Be Her, which I won't talk about those too much, other than the fact that Dandelion is probably out of both of these albums the number one thing that I can relate to the most because, like, she even states, she's like, if you're tired of thorns, then I'm a little more dandelion. And I was just like, girl. Like, she's not even saying she's just simpler. Like, and I just feel that so hard to where it's like, and there's so many songs in this album that I think about, like, even, oh, what's that song called? Hold on, I'm looking at it. Oh, Something Simple. Um, that song is just, like, perfect to where, like, she even dreams about, like, wanting to be on stage and singing to these art like, singing to a crowd and stuff like that. She's been dreaming and praying about that, but she's really praying about being home, and it's like, the level of that I love that dynamic, and I want personally that dynamic, but I won't get into that. That, like, you love your life and you don't wanna give up your life that you dreamed for the longest time, and you're happy that you have your dreams, but, like, you also wanna come home to, like, a hard-working man and just, like, oh, and, like, have a dog at your feet, strumming your guitar, drinking a cup of tea on the porch, like, it's ugh. There's so many good songs, which we will go lightly track by track, but, um, Froggy When a Courtin' is hysterical to me. I love that she opens and closes with that. Dandelion, I already talked about. Choosing Texas. I also thought that that was an interesting take on, like, you're bringing your guy to your back to his hometown, and he's gonna stay there basically because he found another girl, which I thought was so interesting. And then We Know Us is so interesting to me because I was like, she doesn't go into it too deep. She doesn't go into it too crazy. But even just like we know us, like we know this is gonna end bad. Like not even just like I know us, but like we both know this is gonna end bad. But we still do it anyway. And I'm just like, again, also with the next song, Low Lights, which is probably one of my favorite songs again on the album. Like I could say that about almost I've been listening to this album the most recent. And Low Lights is just like, I don't care, I wanna be bad. I'll do whatever you want in this low light. Like, be a tempter, it's fine. And I was just like, ooh. And then for the fact that that's right after We Know Us, and I just like, girl, mm. And then Be Her is also perfect because I also can see that, like, one, you can see it from an outward perspective of being like, oh, I want to be the girl that the guy I like is dating or with, and I want to be more like her. Or you could even see it in the aspect of like, there's celebrities or women that I aspire to that have these better traits that I just want to be her so bad, but it hurts so bad. And I was just like, girl, I feel you. Um, Track 7, which is You and Me Time, which is so cute because it's you and me could use just a little bit of me and you time. And I was just like, girl, if that's not like old country sounding, like it gave me like pontoon vibes, like ooh, ooh. And then Loving Life Again, we've heard that one before. That was a pre-single. That one also puts me somewhere a little bit nostalgic too, of just like she hit a place where she's just loving life again. And I get in these modes personally where like I feel like every 2 years, which I just hit in a bad year, but that's beyond the point of the conversation. Um, that you get in these waves that like you're learning to love life again, and I just like, oh, it's so cute. And then Bottom of My Boots, which is track 9, which is so cute because she says it in the chorus. She's like, I'll love you to like you should love me to the moon and back, but love me from the bottom of your boots to the top of your hat. And I love that's so rare where a chorus of a song doesn't end with the hook line, because the hook line should have been like, but it doesn't sound right, of course. So it made sense why she did this of like, let me from the top of your hat to the bottom of your boots. Like it doesn't sound better that way. So like it makes sense why she said it because now I'm gonna be saying that forever instead of like, don't love me from the moon and back, love me from the bottom of your boots to the top of your hat. I'm like, oh girl, that's great. And then Speaking Terms, the first time I listened to that song, I thought to myself, this could really be related to like somebody in your life. Are we on speaking terms? Because at first I didn't see it in a spiritual faith way. And then I watched actually an interview actually when she was going track by track. And she was like, my faith is different than it was when she was writing this. So she's on the outside. She doesn't feel this way any longer. And I'm like, oh, so you are relating this song to God. And I was like, whoa. Oh, and there's a line where she says in it of like, something along the lines of like, I don't hear from you more or less, so I don't know if my answers are being my prayers are being answered. And I was just like, ooh, ooh, that song is like one that I'm gonna have to go back to and unpack more. It's so great. And then track 11, I Gotta Quit, which at first when I saw that, the like one of the first lines in the song is something about getting high or like when you're low and then when you're high. And I was like, is this gonna be quitting weed? Like what what are we talking about, Ella? And then she's like, no, I gotta quit thinking about you. And I was like, oh, and it's so fast paced, it's so cute. Um, and I love that song. Honestly, also I played it for my husband, and that was the first. I was like, "What's one of your favorite songs on the album, huh?" If you listen to the whole thing, and that was actually the first song he played, and I was like, bro, I love. I Gotta Quit is if that's not a radio hit, dude, I don't know what is because that is a great song, upbeat, keeps people on their toes, short, sweet, cute, and again, it even ends with like great melody. Sorry, I have like a runny nose right now. Track 12, which is probably the most nostalgic song for me. Um, it wasn't God who made Honky Tonk Angels. And if you've heard the original song, which I will not be talking about in any regard because I don't want to misdoubt it, but there is an old country song that talks about God made Honky Tonk Angels. And I don't even remember the lyrics to it. I have not even listened to it without making this video, but I think about that song because she basically states in the song that it wasn't God who made honky tonk angels. It was the dirty married men who forget that they're not single. And I was like, girl. And she's got a beautiful, you could tell the lap steel that she has in that I'm pretty sure it's a sat down one. And it puts me back to when I was younger and watched my dad's country band growing up. Oh, put me somewhere, man. Oh, probably one of the top favorite like nostalgic songs on this album for me. Um, Last Call for Us. I mean, that's another one where it's kind of like we know us a little bit. It's us and us, so that's kind of funny, but it's like we know when we leave this bar tonight, we're not going to be the same and we're not going to see each other again. We're done. Like, and again, almost like a Broadway musical in this whole thing right here. Broken, which I found was interesting, that I thought that that was really going to be just talking about her being broken, but like she's really talking to her significant other of like, just let me be broken tonight. And I was like, ooh, that's interesting. Something Simple, again, one of my favorite songs on the album, truthfully, just because it's cute, sweet. And I've heard also so many songs that talk about like the life that they want, the things that they dream about, and like all those things. And then they always got to bring up kids. They always got to bring up kids, which I won't talk about. But Ella didn't bring up kids. Oh, she talks about a dog at her feet and a horse in the yard and a man coming home and taking off his dirty work clothes. And I was like, girl, how I've ever felt this song so from beginning to end because you didn't bring up kids. Thank you, Ella Langley. I'm gonna say that. Um, and then Butterfly Season, which is I love the intricates of it because it's like being in your cocoon and growing and spring releasing the butterflies and changing and those kind of things. And then she sings it with Miranda Lambert, which Miranda Lambert as well is so like I can tell I know Ella looks up to her so much that like it's so impactful that like she sang this song with her. And it's so adorable. It's probably not one of my favorite personallys, but it's a very good listen and it's a very like metamorphosis kind of growth and change kind of a song and it's beautifully done. And then truthfully, the very last song for me, which Most Good Things Do. Oh, that song hit a chord for me because she's like talking about it sounds like to me an ex of some sort that like they're not together anymore, but like she's looking at around at all the good things in her life and all of the like passing horse farms and cigarettes and Wranglers and stuff. And it's very acoustically played and beautifully sung. And then she just says, and there's so many good things in this life that remind me of you because most things do. And I was like, girl, what a full circle moment to the whole album. Beautifully done. And then the last, Froggy Went a Courtin', which is the outro, that she basically ends with, I think it's apples on the stove, peaches on the shelf. If you wanted some more, then go and sing it yourself. Something like that. And I was just like, for the like that she had an outro like that, but it was to end with Froggy Went a Court, and I was like, that's adorable. Um anyway, yeah, both of those albums are amazing and I have them on full repeat right now. um but also if anyone has any music recommendations, full albums, anything, I listen to everything. I would love to hear it from anyone. Um and also I've just loved music forever, which I would make a whole separate video if you're interested in that. I won't get into that today. Um, but yeah, and also it's Coachella weekend. I was gonna watch the Sabrina Carpenter on YouTube, but I fell asleep last night and I didn't get the chance to. I think today, I forget what today is. Today, I think Turnstile's on today of Coachella. Um, and I think Foster the People is tomorrow. I forget. I wrote down like a schedule of Coachella of who I wanted to see and when. Um, so obviously I have to watch it on YouTube. I'm at home. Can I afford Coachella? Um, anyway, and yeah, that's kind of life with music right now. If you want more music content, let me know. If this gets to anybody, let me know. Um, lastly, I'm usually like to end my last little bit of my videos with more heartfelt things because if you've made it this far, you must be a true friend. Um, or a true viewer, whatever, and I like to speak my heart with things. I've been very much too in my head, too feeling too much and hating myself more or less recently. And more or less, I have, if you did not know, I have like 4 different Instagrams. And I have one where like I share very deep and personal and like poems and art and just things that I'm feeling at the time and wherever my brain likes to take me sometimes, even if it's not the greatest. And this week I've been a little down in the dust with some things, and both of these albums have really actually picked me up quite a bit and just kind of like helped me ground a little bit. That like sometimes when I get dramatic or when I get like really artistic or whenever I like get too much for most people, I like come back to music and it grounds me a little bit because like if I were to write songs or if I were to make art that a lot of people would see, I feel like it would be too aggressive, it would be too harsh, it would be too much to where people would get really turned off by it. And what I mean by that is like not being kind to other people, but it wouldn't be like blatant. It would be like poetic and like secretive and private and those kind of things. So, um, it's one of those things that I'm just kind of in a weird headspace right now and a lot's going on. And I'm just trying to like keep my head above water right now, as Avril Lavigne would say. Um, and yeah, I feel like I need to get out of the house. I feel like I need to go on an adventure. I feel like I need to go experience life a little bit right now. And I'm not gonna lie, I can't. Many circumstances just don't allow me to do that. So that's why I appreciate just being able to share my art, even if no one sees it, hears it, or care about it. Me being able to at least share it gives me at least a little bit of an outlet. Even when I don't have the money, even when I don't have transportation, even when I can't get off work, whatever my circumstances are, um, I just appreciate that I can at least express myself in some sort of outlet or share what I'm feeling to even if it's nothing. Um, if any of this makes sense to anyone. Um, but yeah. Um, Yeah, I guess I'll go before I start to bawl my eyes out again.